Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit. Red, white and blue Brexit.
On the 31st of January 2020, the United Kingdom officially left the European Union. This was the culmination of a process which began in 2016, where the UK voted in a referendum to leave the EU. These events ended a 40-year relationship between the UK and its nearest neighbours. Since the referendum, the UK has been involved in over 3 years of intense negotiation with the EU, as well as complex political wrangling at home. And despite having left the EU, the future of the UK's relationship to Europe seems as uncertain as ever. In the first of these series of videos, I'll give a short history of the 2016 referendum to answer the question, why did the UK decide to leave the European Union? This will be followed by videos exploring why was it so difficult to leave, and perhaps most importantly, what happens next. The UK voted to leave the EU in the 2016 referendum, with 52% of votes cast in favour of leaving. This referendum was called the previous year by Prime Minister David Cameron, who was seeking to suppress dissent on the issue of EU membership within his own party. To Cameron, calling the referendum was a gamble, albeit one he was initially confident of winning. The UK's decision to leave was largely down to the successful strategies employed by the Leave campaign, figureheaded by former Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. However, the man pulling the strings behind the Leave campaign was political outsider Dominic Cummings, later made famous by Benedict Cumberbatch in the Brexit movie. Cummings focused the campaign around Britain's perceived lack of sovereignty within the EU, which was expressed pithily in the slogan, "Take back control." More controversially, the campaign also took aim at the money which Britain paid to the EU, including a thoroughly debunked claim that 350 million was sent to the EU each week. This became infamous as it was stamped on the side of the campaign bus. Beyond the official campaign, the UK's largely right-wing press, where Johnson had previously worked, had for a long time taken a hostile attitude towards the EU. This was intensified during the campaign, and many of the UK's best-selling newspapers openly supported leave. The UK press also had a long history of inflaming tensions surrounding immigration. This was an important issue in the referendum, as one of the cornerstones of the European Union is the free movement of all citizens to live and work in any other EU country. Many of these attacks focused on Eastern European migrants from Poland, Romania and Bulgaria, who had been entering the UK in record numbers. This issue was aggravated as the votes coincided with the EU migrant crisis, where refugees from wars in North Africa and the Middle East had arrived across the shores of the Mediterranean. This was epitomised in the Breaking Point poster, depicting long lines of immigrants queuing across southern Europe. The final result of the referendum rocked the political establishment within the UK. The next morning, the Prime Minister David Cameron resigned.
But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
This was followed by the pound plummeting against the euro, and even the victors had very little idea of what would happen next. 3 years of negotiation within the British and European parliaments followed, though the terms of the UK's future relationship with Europe are still unclear. In the next episode, we will cover how the UK left the European Union and what the consequences will be.